My name is Matt Beausoleil, and although I'm not a classically trained chef, my passion for cooking and refined palate have earned me great respect in the culinary industry. Join me and many amazing people who call the Outaouais their home as we prep, cook, and bake at the beautiful Alpina Lodge located at the renowned Le Nordique Spa in Chelsea, Quebec. From community members to chefs, we will highlight the cultural diversity and incredible food scene that the Outaouais has to offer. I myself chose to call the Outaouais home, and it is because of the wonderful people that you will meet that we can truly enjoy our region. This is Cooking Adventures Outaouais. Hello and welcome to our kitchen. I'm very excited to share another recipe with you that will truly highlight the Outaouais' culinary and cultural diversity. Today's guest was born in the USA but now calls the Outaouais his home. He's the executive director of the Regional Association of West Quebecers and is very involved in many community organizations. Please join me in welcoming Linton Garner.
Thank you, Matt, for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. I mean, you know, you're the executive director of the Regional Association of West Quebecers, which obviously playing a big role in this production. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the Regional Association of West Quebecers is an organization which serves the English-speaking population in the Outaouais.
Right.
That's about 70,000 people in a region the size of Belgium.
Right.
We're about 20% of the Gatineau area, and in some of the other areas within, like in the Pontiac, we're 60% of the population. There are lots of pockets of little English communities throughout, throughout the Outaouais, and so sometimes we make up a majority, sometimes we're in the minority.
Yeah, I guess it depends, right? It always depends on that. So what involvement did the Regional Association of West Quebecers have with this show?
Well, in terms of working with our community, because of the pandemic, we were forced to be able to try to deal with communicating with our community in different ways. Fortunately, the Red Cross was a part of an emergency relief fund where we were able to, provide or access some funds to be able to create instruments to reach our community. Right. And this is one of the instruments that we wanted to put together. We thought it would be great to put together a show about the local community, its local foods, its heritages, its variety, its diversity. Absolutely. And then to involve someone like yourself with a professional acumen who lives in the territory and knows the territory, knows the people. It was just, I think, a marriage made in heaven.
There we go, heaven. Heaven, that's a big word. So, you've lived in the Outaouais for a little while now. How long have you lived?
Just about 4 years now.
4 years,
It'll be 4 in May.
4 years. So that's about, actually, I moved here in September 2016, so not much more. So tell me a little bit about how you came to the Outaouais.
Well, I was a community worker all my life. I was the kind of person that worked on a variety of community issues, starting with youth, like most of us did as youth workers, and then moving up through a variety of issues from, health and social services, public security, intercultural and interracial relations. And then I started working with the English-speaking community in the beginning of Alliance Quebec, back in the day. Where we were taking, issue with some of the changes that were made under Bill 101, and looked at trying to start to protect some of our rights. And as such, I've maintained a contact, and as well, I went into education, working with the English school boards and English schools. As a youth worker, I worked in the English schools, but I also became an attaché to the Minister of Education at the time, Mr. Pierre Reid, where we were really just looking at the real transformation over from sort of religious school boards to linguistic school boards, right? The change from Catholic and Protestant to English and French. Okay. And I was there at that transition period, helping
very interesting time,
helping the English-speaking community adjust to the new changes, and so on. So it gave me a real in-depth, knowledge of the education system, even though I'd come up in the system, I hadn't really worked in the system before. Right. And then since that time, I've been involved with the education as well. I'm the president of the Quebec Federation of Home and School Associations, which is an association of parents who are connected to the English schools.
All right, so if you had to pick one or several things, what are some of your favorite highlights of the Outaouais region?
Well, Gatineau part.
That's been very common. That's been a very common response, right?
Well, it's right in my backyard. I can almost look out my window and look at the mountain. Being close to the river is really nice as well. Having that opportunity to to witness that and all the things that that come about with people being attached to the river and so on.
Right.
The people are extremely nice, really warm and open. This is a very bilingual area.
It is.
And so I feel very comfortable here, even though I am, fluently French, fluent in French. But I just found it really overall a generally warm and inviting environment.
Beautiful. I mean, the Gatineau Park is always a highlight, right? Having access to this beautiful green space, trails, bike trails.
Yeah. Well, actually, I ride motorcycles, so going up through the hills and everything with the turns and twists and
stunning.
It is really, really nice. Yes.
All right. Well, let's start looking at today's dish.
Excellent. We're actually going to be making Mrs. Garner's Sweet Potato Casserole.
This sounds like a secret recipe.
It is actually. It was very funny. My ex-wife, Elaine Scher, had to marry in the family to get this recipe. This was so.
You're not telling me we have to get married, right?
No,
right.
Not at all.
That's good.
I figured I should choose making my mother famous over.
That's true.
Having to marry somebody in order to share this recipe again.
That's great. So I mean, so your mother's recipe. So where does it come from? Where?
Well, my family is originally, as you mentioned, I was originally from the United States, and on my mother's side we're from Virginia, and my father's side from North Carolina.
Right.
But I think my mother, and then they moved north to Jersey, where I was, mostly raised.
Right.
But my mother, I think, was the closest to my grandmother, right, who brought the Southern cooking, right with her, and
Absolutely,
she'd gone through generations of, of Southern cooking, and so the ingredients are very simple. Black folk didn't have a whole lot. They got the ends of everything, so that's why a lot of times our diets were very high, high in salt, high in fat,
That's right.
high in sugars, only because those were the only things that people could get their hands on.
Right.
And so we don't have there wasn't a whole lot of measurements, a whole lot of instruction going on. You cooked by feel.
Yeah.
You cook by experience and so on. And those women, those black women, I want to tell you, there is nothing like that cooking.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great story. And we talk about, in this show we see different types of cuisine, different cultural cuisine, and from different times of people's lives and where these recipes come from, grandmothers and families. It's just beautiful. So I mean, let's look at today's ingredients.
Right. Well, first of all, we have a couple of sweet potatoes. Now, sweet potatoes weren't indigenous to North America.
No.
Africans brought,
That's
sweet
right.
potatoes to North America. So it was one of those dishes that slaves ordinarily were used to, all right, and could depend on, and they were able to grow them for their own use and so on. So they become staples of a lot of part of the black community's families. Then, of course, just apples, which were plentiful, in North America. I guess they were spread by Johnny Appleseed if we take the story and so on.
Absolutely.
So you can use Macintosh or
perfect.
The Concord.
Cortland.
Cortland
apple.
Cortland apples. Either one of those is good. Good old fashioned butter.
Butter makes everything better. In
yes,
my opinion.
it does. It certainly does. We have dark brown sugar. Right there, and on the end, cinnamon.
Beautiful. Let's start assembling this dish.
Excellent, excellent.
All right, so we've preheated our oven?
Yeah, to 450 degrees.
All right, and we're gonna bake this for how long?
For 45 minutes to an hour. You can take your choice there. Sometimes it depends just on how many apples or whatever you have in the...
I think it'll depend on how many layers we make, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you tell me what to do because I'm not too sure.
Okay, well, and I tell you, this is gonna seem funny to a lot of people, but I'm telling somebody how to cook. But the first thing is we take the slices of apples, which we pre-sliced here, and we line the bottom of the casserole.
Perfect.
All right, and so we just lay them out as well we can. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to take one of the sweet potatoes and start to peel them.
All right.
All right.
So we kind of. Oh, we kind of chatted about, how how your family, or how you got to the Outaouais, but how did your family cross the border and move to Canada, right?
Well, we came back here back in 1964 when I was just 11 years old. My father was a jazz musician.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he's from a family of jazz musicians.
Right.
He has a brother who is on an American stamp and considered one of the original 10 jazz masters.
Wow.
And the origination of that genre of music. His name is Linton Garner. He was very famous for having written a song called Misty back in the day, and even Clint Eastwood even made a film called Play Misty for Me.
Wow.
So, and Clint Eastwood was a jazz fan as well.
Right.
Anyway, in terms of that, what they were able to accomplish, and my father was a very accomplished jazz musician as well. They both played piano. My father, went all across this country and really particularly landed in Vancouver, where he was a staple at Rossini's jazz bar and restaurant, run by a good friend of his, Arnie May, who is actually from Ottawa.
Okay.
All right, this is where they met, when my father first came to Ottawa.
Interesting.
And doing that. And Arnie May was famous for having been the drummer for Elvis Presley when he first came here to Canada.
Well, that's no small feat, eh?
No small feat at all.
All right. That's a very interesting story.
Yeah, so what our family has done since that time, I stayed here. I have one brother. He went back to the States.
Right.
But I decided I would stay here and raise a family, and that's what I've done. I have two sons. One who's just made me a grandfather.
Wow, congratulations.
My oldest son, Taylor, and his wife, Megan. And I have a little granddaughter by the name of Liliana, who's actually the cutest child you'll ever see.
That's what we all say.
Exactly. And then my youngest son, who is a teacher who's teaching English and French, as a matter of fact, in one of the Jewish private schools here in Montreal.
Amazing. All right, so where are we going to go next?
So next, what you're going to do is you're going to be liberal about sprinkling some brown sugar over that layer of apples. And I think you can add a few more apples.
Yeah, okay, all right. I wasn't
really
sure.
Really cover that.
You want it really well covered?
Yeah,
okay,
really cover that. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to slice the sweet potato. Now, the sweet potato needs to be sliced lengthwise.
Right.
All right? So that we can lay them down in layers across the top of the apples.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
So,
the Regional Association of West Quebecers, they're lucky to have you as the executive director. And what are some of the programs and offerings and outreach are you guys doing at this point?
Well, what we're doing is we're really trying to remain relevant in this era of not being able to get together with people, which was a part of a staple of many of the things that we did when we had quiz nights, we had Christmas choral concerts, we had books and bake sales. We certainly had other opportunities for us to gather our annual general meetings.
Right.
So we've had to go online, I guess most like everybody else. And so what we've done is we've created French second language courses, as well as English second language courses.
Beautiful. Huh?
We have 12 courses of the French second language, which is involving nearly 120, well, actually, no.
Wow.
160 people at the present time. And in the English second language, we have, 45 students and a waiting list at all three levels of the beginners, advanced, and intermediate.
Wow.
So we're doing that, as well as, we have City Life TV, which is a program that we've been running. We're in our 8th season now.
And I've had the pleasure of being interviewed on that show as well.
We had the pleasure of having you as a guest, so it's nice to be,
I know. Role reversal.
The tables to be able to be turned somewhat. The other thing is, so that we do interviews of local people about what's happening in the English-speaking community.
Right.
It's about trying to be able to do that. So now, be liberal with spreading that all through. That's great.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, I think it's great too when we say, FSL and ESL, right?
Yes.
Because it's really bringing both communities together.
Well, it is, but also one of the things people forget that there are English-speaking communities, English-speaking people who are part of ethnic communities.
Absolutely.
Who are new arrivals here and also need to be able to, need to be able to get, if they understand one of the official languages of Canada, it helps you get oriented, it helps you get settled. The courses that I'm giving for all the people that are in our courses, not a one of them were born in Quebec or Canada. They come from far away as Siberia, from the Cameroon, they come from the Congo, they come from Cuba, Ecuador, everywhere. They come from everywhere. So it's been fabulous. There's a number of Syrians in our, in our class. So it really has been an enlightening experience for me.
Absolutely,
right? And it's been a pleasure to be a part of working with them.
Right? You know what? I think it's funny because this program itself, all of the guests that are gracing this studio, right, are truly showcasing that diversity as well.
Well, that's
right?
great.
Canada's a land of opportunity, and the Outaouais is so welcoming. We're right beside the nation's capital, and I think it's very important that we have programs like yours to support all those people that are coming here because they want to live here and they want to be.
They want to be part of this community. Exactly. They've come for a better life.
Right.
And so, they think that Canada is going to offer that to them. So, so hopefully we're giving them the tools to be able to be successful.
That's
here.
right. The tools to succeed are key, right?
Right. So now that's
is
the
this
cinnamon.
Enough?
No, be liberal with that cinnamon as well.
Cinnamon as well? Okay. All right. Here we go.
Excellent. I think that's enough there.
Okay.
And now take a slice, about a 1/4 inch of a slice of that butter, and then cut it into 4s.
All right.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and you need to have something to carry them over.
There we go.
And then you lay them down across.
All right.
Across the apples, and what we're going to try to do is to make sure we cover the whole thing.
Is this like this?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. So, we talked about the ESL and FSL programs that you guys are offering, which is absolutely fantastic. I guess there's some different productions as well, right, happening?
Yes, well, along with this show, we're looking at doing a collaboration with the 100 Mile Arts Network, and you can put that in there.
Just in there, yeah.
And the 100 Mile Arts Network to create an opportunity for us to promote artists in the community.
Right.
Right. And whether it be visual artists or performance artists,
Right.
And then you can fill those in the cracks there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And leave
so I think
for the next layer.
The arts is so important, right? Whether it be for entertainment purpose or even just personal development. It's a
yes, well, it's a part of the identity of the community.
Absolutely.
So now you should add the little 4 squares of butter.
All right.
And just space them out nicely, around sort of like at the clock,
Yeah. Perfect.
And then now we're going to add more apples.
More apples.
Yes, we're going to put apples on top of this as a layer.
Excellent.
All right, and we're going to try to be as complete as we can to cover everything.
All right. This is like a puzzle.
Yes. So when I was a kid,
right,
we were in charge of the peeling. So it, peeled the apples and and the sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes came off without a hitch because you just peel the skin off,
Right.
And then I wasn't involved with the other part of the cooking because when you have a master cook like my mother,
yeah,
in the
for
house,
sure.
you don't interrupt, right? Or you don't interfere. So that's what we did. And then the idea here is, again, we slice the sweet potatoes lengthwise.
Right.
So we can create layers,
Beautiful.
so that they can fill the whole pot. So you can be liberal with that, with those apples.
I think one of the most, you talked as being a child and peeling the apples and, integrating family and your children into the cooking process, the baking process, whatever you're doing, really is a valuable lesson for them. And it's something that really makes you feel part of the team, right? Because no matter what we say, a family is a team. You work together, you live together, and you work towards a common goal.
Common goal. Well, yeah. When we used to go to like family, holidays and stuff, you go earlier to prepare the food because my mother was always an integral part of the cooking. I mean, she had she had 3 sisters and a brother. They all cooked and they all had kind of specialties and so on. But I think my mother's were the most desired dishes. So it's always essential that she was there, whether it was for fried chicken, for the sweet potatoes, for her roast chicken, or lemon meringue pies, anything like that. My mother was, the one that was sought after in the family.
Absolutely.
So, all right, so now you're going to be, again, liberal with brown
I guess I'll
sugar.
finish this last couple pieces of apple.
That's right. And now again, liberal with the brown sugar.
So let's do a coating of the brown sugar, the cinnamon.
Right, and then we put the butter on top, and then we're going to finish it off with brown sugar and the cinnamon.
All right, let's finish this off then.
Okay, so brown sugar and cinnamon, and not the butter we'll put just on top of this.
Right. Since I started cutting it, I'll just place it here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it looks like it's done.
Perfect.
Let's see how it's come out.
Oh wow, the smell's amazing. The apples, you really smell them, and the sweetness of the sweet potatoes.
There we are.
Beautiful. All right. Well, so before we dig in, unfortunately, we should let this cool a little bit,
Just
right?
a bit,
So that it sets a little bit. And so before we go, I'd like to know a little bit more about what the future has in store for The Rock.
Well, we're going to continue with the programming that we are doing with the language courses. We also have coffee chats on Thursday mornings, where we just try to meet with the local community. We talk, we bring some guests sometimes we're just talking about local issues. We hope to grow the TV programming as another, communication tool to be able to help bring the community together.
Right.
Telling local stories is really the best way to reflect the community, and so we're looking for more opportunity to do that, as well as we hope that once it's post-pandemic and when we're able to, to get back to each other, we're going to continue with some of the other efforts that we made. We used to have a quiz night. We had a Christmas choral concert.
Right.
As well, we had a book and bake sale, all of which were popular. This year at the Christmas we did a fundraiser where we raised over, I think, $6,000 with a basket of cheer and
Amazing,
a card, a Christmas card program, which local artists, local people took photographs and we put them on cards to sell for the holidays. So we're going to continue with that. And then we're going to look at trying to develop more creative programming that's going to engage the community and bring the community closer together.
Perfect. All right, well, let's just let this set, and we'll come back and try. All right, so now is the moment of truth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's actually quite funny, but when you took it out of the oven, I could really smell the apples, but now that I take the cover off, I smell the sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. All right, let's portion this out and give this a try. Look at that, eh? All the juices of the apples, the sweet potato, and the butter, of course.
Yeah, of course, yes. Thank you.
And you'll see that, with this recipe, it kind of settles a little bit because the juices, right?
Exactly. Well, yes, when you cook the apples, right, they sort of downsize a bit because the juices start to run, and so the thickness isn't there before. But believe me, they're still there, and you're going to taste them.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to it because this has been one of the best smelling sweets we've made for sure.
All right.
All right. Well, let's take our bites. All those layers.
All those layers, you cut down through it.
You want to get a bit of everything.
Oh man.
My family had a similar recipe, but it was blended. We would make mashed or blended sweet potatoes,
Right.
and caramelize, some brown sugar and some pecans on top. But the beauty of integrating apples, which actually is quite Outaouais of this dish, right? We can pick apples here. I think it's beautiful. It's very representative of your culture, your background, and of course the Outaouais, which I think is a really nice touch.
I think it just all comes together, But actually, good, simple food can be found anywhere, and particularly as local traditions are, family traditions are, most of it is simple.
Yeah.
And this is very simple with just sweet potatoes, apples, cinnamon, and brown sugar. And you've got a great complement to any meal that you're serving. It's not a sweet or dessert. It is part of your main dish, and I think it just goes well with almost anything you're looking to do.
Absolutely. And you know what? We like fine dining, we like, steakhouses, we like everything, but classic homemade dishes like this is what really brings, food into our heart, and it's beautiful. Linton, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Your involvement in the community, your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing this amazing recipe with our viewers. I'm looking forward to making this for my kids because I'm sure they're going to absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for joining me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having had me.
Once again, a very special thanks to Linton Garner and the Regional Association of West Quebecers. Don't forget that this amazing recipe, as well as all the recipes featured in this show, will be made available in the Cooking Adventures Outaouais cookbook, brought to you by the Regional Association of West Quebecers. On that, be happy, be healthy, and eat well. Ciao for now. All right, so we're gonna talk about the ingredients, but obviously, this is the focus of what you guys do here. So let's talk a little bit about apples first. So you actually live on an apple orchard.
Yes, yeah, we have an orchard, about 12 acres, around 1,100 trees, and we started the orchard.
So Luigi's Pizza is known for their pizza, their lasagna, their manicotti. What dish will we be making today?
Well, we'll be making lasagna today.
Nice, nice. Lasagna is obviously a great dish to make at home. Sometimes people feel it's intimidating, so we'll make it as easy as we can for our viewers. And we're gonna chime into your intelligence of how to make the best lasagna. All right, so we're making what again?
Chocolate peanut butter balls.
Okay, so I hear that this recipe has truly traveled the country.
So today we're diving into the snow crab from Rimouski.
Nice.
It's going to be served with a sauce vierge made from vegetables and a light frito misto.